The mysterious trend in 2025, Alex sat quietly in his small apartment, staring at his computer screen. Every day, the news talked about rising prices, falling currencies, and unstable markets. People were losing trust in banks, but no one seemed to have real answers. While scrolling through videos late one night, Alex noticed something strange. Many old investors were suddenly talking about gold and silver again. He had always thought these metals were old-fashioned, something his grandfather cared about. But now the charts on his screen showed gold slowly climbing. Silver, too, was gaining attention. Why are people buying gold in 2025? He whispered to himself. Curious, Alex started digging deeper. He found articles about countries storing gold secretly, rich investors moving money into silver, and experts predicting something big. Each new piece of information made his heart beat faster. He didn't understand everything yet, but he felt it. Something was changing in the world economy. That night, under the dim glow of his laptop, Alex held an old gold coin his father once gave him. For the first time, it didn't look like a memory. It looked like a clue. The hidden truth. A few days later, Alex decided to visit a small investment seminar in the city. He didn't expect much, just a few people talking about numbers and charts. But then, an old man named Mr. Harris stepped onto the stage. His presence was calm yet commanding, the kind that made people stop and listen. He spoke slowly, with wisdom earned over decades in the market. Everyone runs after digital trends, Mr. Harris said, his voice echoing through the hall. But gold and silver, they never lose their value. When systems fail, these metals rise. His words struck something deep inside Alex. After the seminar, Alex waited patiently to meet him. When their eyes met, Mr. Harris gave a knowing smile, as if he could read Alex's thoughts. They sat at a quiet corner table in a nearby cafe, where the air smelled of roasted coffee and uncertainty. You're curious about gold, aren't you? The old man asked. Alex nodded. Mr. Harris leaned forward and whispered, Look at what the world's central banks are doing, not what they're saying. They're buying gold, quietly. He slid a small golden coin across the table, shining, heavy, and full of history. This, he said softly, is real money. That night, Alex couldn't sleep. Mr. Harris's words kept echoing in his mind. He realized that maybe the world's biggest secrets were hidden not in digital screens, but in something ancient, something that had survived every crisis before. The market warning, around 250 words. Weeks passed, and Alex followed every piece of financial news he could find. One morning, while sipping his coffee, he saw headlines flashing across his phone. Global markets crash, currencies drop overnight. His heart raced as he read further. Stocks were plummeting, cryptocurrencies were unstable, and people were panicking. Yet in the middle of all that chaos, one thing quietly rose. The price of gold. It wasn't a dramatic spike, but a steady, confident climb that told its own story. He immediately thought of Mr. Harris's words. When systems fail, metals rise. Alex opened the charts again. Gold up 4%, silver up 6%. Meanwhile, social media was filled with fear, investors losing millions in hours. But gold remained calm, untouched by panic. The realization hit him. This wasn't random. It was a sign. Something was shifting in the global balance of wealth, and very few people noticed it. That night, Alex sat by his window, the city lights flickering below. He wondered how many more warnings people would ignore before it was too late. Maybe the real danger wasn't the crash. It was the blindness to what came after. As the golden glow from his coin reflected softly on his desk, Alex made a silent promise. He would learn everything there was to know about gold and silver before the next storm arrived. The market warning weeks passed, and Alex followed every piece of financial news he could find. One morning, while sipping his coffee, he saw headlines flashing across his phone. Global markets crash, currencies drop overnight. His heart raced as he read further. Stocks were plummeting, cryptocurrencies were unstable, and people were panicking. Yet in the middle of all that chaos, one thing quietly rose: the price of gold. It wasn't a dramatic spike, but a the smart strategy, around 270 words. The next weekend, Alex returned to the same cafe, hoping to find Mr. Harris again. Luckily, he was there, reading a newspaper and sipping black coffee like a man who had seen the world change too many times. Alex approached him with a mixture of excitement and confusion. Mr. Harris, he began, I saw what happened in the markets. You were right. Gold went up when everything else was falling. But how do I invest? Where do I even start? The old man folded his newspaper, set it aside, and smiled faintly. Knowing when to buy gold, he said, is not just about timing the market. It's about understanding fear. He explained that gold reacts to emotion. Panic makes it rise, greed makes it fall. The smartest investors don't chase gold when everyone's talking about it, he continued. They buy when people forget it exists. Alex listened carefully, writing everything down. Then Mr. Harris began to teach him the different paths: physical gold, digital gold, ETFs, silver coins, and even mining stocks. Each one had its own risks and rewards. Never put everything in one place, the old man warned. Balance is your shield. Alex realized that this wasn't just about buying metal. It was about building security. Mr. Harris showed him how to watch global trends, wars, inflation, currency shifts, all signs that reveal when gold might move. The conversation lasted for hours, filled with wisdom, stories, and quiet truths. When Alex finally left, his notebook was full, but more importantly, his mind was alive with purpose. He knew now that knowledge was more valuable than gold itself. Die, confident climb that told its own story. He immediately thought of Mr. Harris's words, "When systems fail, metals rise." Alex opened the charts again. Gold up 4%, silver up 6%. Meanwhile, social media was filled with fear, investors losing millions in hours. But gold remained calm, untouched by panic. The realization hit him: this wasn't random. It was a sign. Something was shifting in the global balance of wealth, and very few people noticed it. That night, Alex sat by his window, the city lights flickering below. He wondered how many more warnings people would ignore before it was too late. Maybe the real danger wasn't the crash, it was the blindness to what came after. As the golden glow from his coin reflected softly on his desk, Alex made a silent promise. He would learn everything there was to know about gold and silver before the next storm arrived. The risk and the reward weeks turned into months, and Alex began to follow Mr. Harris's advice with quiet discipline. He started small, buying a few silver coins, then some gold bars from a trusted dealer, and gradually exploring digital gold platforms. Every purchase felt like a step into an older world, a place where wealth had a physical presence and a story of its own. Yet as his collection grew, so did his anxiety. What if he was wrong? What if the markets changed again and left him with nothing but shiny metal? The fear was real, and it whispered to him every time he saw the gold price dip, even slightly. One evening, as Alex watched global news, chaos once again swept through the financial world. Markets were collapsing, tech stocks were bleeding, and currencies were trembling under inflation. His friends were panicking, calling him, telling him to sell everything and move to cash. But Alex stayed calm. He remembered Mr. Harris's words. When others panic, you stay patient. He looked at the small safe in his room, the one filled with gold and silver, and he smiled faintly. For the first time, he felt protected rather than afraid. Over the next few weeks, something extraordinary happened. Gold prices began to climb, not just a little, but steadily, every day higher than before. Silver followed close behind, doubling within months. The same friends who mocked Alex now called him for advice. But Alex didn't boast or brag. He simply told them the truth, that real success isn't just about profit, but peace of mind. He realized that his gold wasn't just an investment. It was a shield, quiet, timeless, and powerful. In a world driven by chaos, his calm became his greatest wealth. The turning point months later, the world looked completely different. News channels that once celebrated the booming digital age were now filled with panic and disbelief. Global inflation had reached a point where ordinary people struggled to afford even basic things. The value of paper money was dropping so fast that headlines called it the silent crash. Banks imposed limits on withdrawals, governments announced new regulations, and uncertainty became the new normal. Amid all this chaos, Alex stood quietly in his apartment, watching the same world that once ignored gold now run desperately toward it. He remembered Mr. Harris's lessons and couldn't help but feel a strange mix of relief and sadness. Relief because he had listened. Sadness because millions had not. The media was now filled with analysts talking about the sudden rise in gold and silver, but Alex knew this wasn't sudden. It was the result of years of ignorance. The prices were soaring, and the coin he once bought for a few $100s was now worth thousands. His digital gold account had multiplied, and even his small stash of silver was gaining incredible value. Yet what moved him most wasn't the money. It was the lesson. The world had finally realized that real wealth doesn't vanish with a system crash. It stays strong, silent, and patient, like gold itself. Alex decided it was time to see Mr. Harris again. When he met the old man, sitting at the same cafe corner, they didn't need words. Mr. Harris looked up with a proud smile and said softly, "You understood before the world did. Now you know why the wise never chase trends. They prepare for storms." In that quiet moment, Alex realized that he had not just invested in gold or silver. He had invested in wisdom, patience, and faith in what endures beyond time. The message: a year later, the world had changed in ways few could have imagined. Digital currencies had crashed and been reborn under new systems. Economies were rebuilding, and people were beginning to talk about financial safety rather than financial freedom. Everywhere, stories circulated about how those who held gold and silver had survived the storm more peacefully than anyone else. Amid this global shift, Alex walked through the city one cool morning, feeling strangely detached from the noise. He no longer checked prices every hour, nor chased the next big investment trend. Instead, he had found something far more valuable, a quiet certainty within himself. He visited his old apartment, where his safe still sat in the corner. When he opened it, the gentle gleam of the gold and silver reflected back at him, steady and beautiful. Each coin was more than metal now. It was a reminder of choices made with courage and patience. He smiled faintly, realizing that while everyone had been searching for quick profits, he had discovered peace. He had learned that the real power of gold and silver was not in their price, but in what they symbolized: stability, endurance, and truth in a world full of illusions. Later that week, Alex gave a small talk at a local investors club, where young beginners listened just as he once had. Wealth, he told them, isn't about how much you can earn fast. It's about how much you can protect when everything else falls apart. His words hung in the air with quiet weight. As he finished, a young listener asked, "So what's your biggest lesson from all this?" Alex smiled gently and replied, "Never wait for chaos to value what's timeless. Gold and silver don't just protect your money, they protect your peace of mind." As the audience applauded, Alex looked toward the window, where the afternoon sun painted everything in a golden hue. The world outside was uncertain as ever, but within that glow, Alex felt something eternal, a calm, unshakable truth shining brighter than any coin.